Hi. Hello, everybody. We are doing episode 12 of If This Canvas Could Talk. And today our topic is going to be a little complicated. So let me, it's about pricing, which we all kind of struggle with. So, okay, there's my friend Terry. I'm going to invite her to join and we'll get started. Amazing, kind of complicated topic. But welcome if you guys are just coming on. Okay, let's see. There's my friend Terry. Hi, my friend.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Let me adjust my little camera here. Oh my gosh, this is the big one. This is a big subject.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's going to be some emotions going on, huh?
Well, we'll try to keep it. You're more of an emotion girl than I am. Oh my gosh.
Well, I just mean there's a lot of emotion around, pricing your art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, well, let me introduce. I'm Jeanette Bergstrom. I'm an acrylic artist and painter, and my friend Terry Wilson Art is also an artist and a painter. And today is episode 12, and our little IG lives are called If This Canvas Could Talk. And today we decided, we have this discussion all the time, Terry and I. And so today we decided, you know what, we're just going to talk about it. We're probably going to only graze the surface, but the big topic is, how do you price your art? Do you price your art to sell so that you sell out of something, or you just get more sales, or do you price your art to a little bit more of what the value of it is? So
but this is where we differ.
Yes.
We're going to jump right in.
Yes.
But this is where we differ, because I don't necessarily think that pricing your art to sell devalues it. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. So then I say, hi. We got some people joining. So happy to have you guys here.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah. So my only thing is that historically, people have undervalued their art. So when you have an original piece of art, you have to be careful, because that thing does not exist in the world anywhere else. It's one of a kind. You created it from nothing. So it has value. So that's the only thing. Now, it's a personal preference on what you feel the value of that art is. So you could price it to where it sells, but it also has the value, if that makes sense. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think it's a personal choice on what, like, okay, yeah. So, okay, yeah, it's hard. So
it is.
Yeah.
It really is, because how do you balance everything? I hear everything you're saying, and I agree with you, but it's, how do you balance all of those thoughts that we have within ourselves? How do you balance what we're being told by others that have come before us and have set this path that we're learning in the art world is no longer necessarily the path that we all have to go down, because social media has changed the game for us, right? So we've got these sometimes antiquated thoughts around what we should be doing that we're being told by others. And so how do you take the advice that you need from that and apply it to where you are, and then tamper that with your emotions of how you feel about yourself and your art and where you are along in that journey, because we are all in different places. I mean, literally everyone that's watching is in a different place. Yep. And how do you price it fairly, that you feel good about it, and that it's also got a market value that is fair to you as the artist who created it?
Yes. Okay, I will say, I think the person that gave the best advice, and a lot of us artists already follow her, is Jody King. And she says, you do a little research, like as if you were marketing or selling a home. You do comps. So you go out and you see what other people are who have similar art as yours. You compare how long they've been selling their art, and you kind of do a comp around it. Like if someone's doing landscapes, what is somebody doing landscapes that's just started, somebody who's done landscapes that have been doing it for a long time, or you look at somebody who does abstracts, and you kind of compare and see what's out there in the market. And I think that's a good place to start, because I think you get a better sense of what things are going. Now, someone who's been selling their art for a long time is going to be a higher price than someone who's just starting. So you also have to look at that. Is it someone who's just starting and selling their art, where they're just building up their clientele and they want customers? Or is it somebody who's been established and they have all the customers they want, and they just have to post something and it sells? So I think that was good advice, to at least to get you at a starting point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we had the discussion around holiday. You know, I did some hand painted ornaments that took me like a long time, well, probably like an hour and a half to paint them, each one. And I didn't sell them for what they were worth, but I offered them to my email list, which I thought is a value for me too, and also gives them something special. So, and I know you had some minis that you were also offering up this Christmas that you wanted out there. So how did you decide what to price yours at? Like, do you have any, I mean, it's so emotional.
We are in completely different mindsets right now in our journey of how we're pricing our art. And these are why we have these discussions all the time about it. And it's totally okay. Like, it doesn't mean that you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. It's just where we are in our journey, which is why it's so exciting to talk about it today, because I think that there'll be a lot of people that will fall all around what we're talking about. But I am so new at all of this. And I basically, I took all of that advice, like what you were saying from Jody, and other people as well, and I price per square inch, or, you know, per square inch. And I started lower. I just raised my prices. I was selling at like 33 cents a square inch, and then I just raised to 50.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel comfortable with that. But I'm coming from a different place of like, I need to build my confidence. I need, for me personally, it's more important for me right now to have sales, and to be able to see that people are connecting with my art, and that they are willing to pay. I still think that someone paying $800 or $1,200 for one of my paintings is a lot of money.
Okay, yeah, and there's a difference there, because I think between you and I'm selling smaller and you're selling larger. So I totally agree
for
with
sure.
you. Yeah,
yes,
I totally
but
agree with
the
you.
price. Yeah, so there's that too. That's another whole thread that we could talk about for a whole hour, right?
Yeah.
But my point of all of that is that I'm pricing right now in the middle of wanting to sell them and figuring out what my value is in my art, right? And but more importantly, I'm finding as I go through that I love the way that it feels when my art sells. It boosts my confidence, and it gives me the courage and the inspiration to keep going, to keep pushing myself, to keep trying. And I feel like for me, if I priced it so high because I felt like it had this great value, and no one bought it, then that would tear me down emotionally and confidence-wise, that then I would start to question my art, whether it really was good enough. And so it's like, that's my balance for me right now, is pricing it at a place where I feel like I'm getting my money back for what I've invested in it. I'm getting a profit. It's smaller, of course. I mean, eventually I'll be Jody King. I mean, she's got a lot more skin in the game than I do, you know? So, I mean, that's the goal eventually.
Yeah.
But I also though have a lot of which we'll dive into this too, but I have a lot of money issues in my brain, like
Oh, we all do.
um
Yeah.
you
That
know, and I
limiting
can't.
beliefs. Yep.
Yes,
That you're
limiting
not
beliefs
value
that,
enough. Yeah.
well, it's
Yeah.
not even the limiting beliefs about me. It's limiting beliefs that started in my other career, because I was in sales for 23 years, 24 now, but and I did very well in that industry, but I was always around women who could not afford, or didn't see, or said they couldn't afford, and a lot of them couldn't afford, and some didn't want to afford what I was selling. And so I think that because I did that from, I was 26 when I started, you know, I'm 50, I'm going to be 52 the end of this month. Happy birthday. No. I feel like that shaped my thoughts about other people's money, and that they don't have money to spend on these things. And so I think that that bleeds obviously into my art and pricing it, and having to retrain my brain that there are people out there who see value in art, in, you know, and like you said, this piece of something that was nowhere, it was nothing, and then you created it, and now it's this magnificent something. And just retraining my brain at the same time that I'm trying to build my confidence in my art, to get to the place that I will be charging what Jody charges for her art.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate for what you said. I'm just going to go over. Let's say hi to everybody that's joined. Let's see, we've got Denise, Patty, Thomas. Thanks for joining. We got CL Davis. Thanks for joining. Una, Hustle Queen. I love that. Reading. You guys, thanks for joining us live. It's kind of fun to all have you here. And if you guys want to, you know, put a comment in, if you hear something that we're saying that you want to argue with or talk about, let us know. But I'll say, at the beginning, when we were talking, you had said that by selling your art, which I think all beginner artists feel, that like if they sell something, that is like a total confidence boost, and it makes you feel good. And so then you know that, okay, what you're doing is of value, that is relying a little bit on the outside coming in. But to be the devil's advocate about that part, something that I think about too, that I struggle with, I fully agree with you on wanting to sell, and that gives you the confidence to keep going. So the devil's advocate to that would be, do you price so that you get the customers that you want at that level or that price? If you price lower, and the customers that come in at that lower price, they're not going to necessarily be your customers at a higher price. So again, it's timing. Do you price it a little bit higher, and then you kind of have to sit and wait till you find the customers that want your art at that price? Or do you price lower, sell it, have customers that buy it at that lower price, and then as you raise, those customers drop off? So I think there is a natural progression on either way you go. If you price it high and your sales are a little bit slower, then you just hold out till you find those customers at that price point. So I think, again, it's a personal preference. If you don't need the money and you have all the time in the world, and you do your comparison and your comps, and you price it at a certain amount, and you don't get a lot of sales, but you're okay with that. So I think it is such a personal, like, ingrained kind of thing on how you price. So I think we could say there's all these guidelines, but it really comes down to what it does for you and how you feel about that.
Absolutely. And how you feel about, if you're a person, just what you said, I agree. If you're a person that can sit on them and wait for that higher price point, and you've got to find that needle in a haystack that is going to, one, resonate with that piece of art, and then also have the funds available to purchase it. Or do you want to be able to, for me also too, I have this feeling of, I remember going, when Tony and I bought this house, we wanted to put original art in it, and we were just like at the point where, okay, we really want to do that. But of course, everybody has a budget. I mean, there's very few people that have an unlimited budget all the time. And so we were furnishing the house, we were doing all these things. And so we set aside what we thought was an adequate amount to buy art. And then we went to galleries and we were like, wow, we can't, I guess I shouldn't say we can't afford, but we are not prepared mentally to, we just didn't know that that's how much art cost. And I remember that feeling, that kind of dejected feeling, leaving the gallery and being like, well, I really wanted art and I want to support artists, but my gosh, I just don't have $10,000 to just lay out for one piece of art. And I hated that feeling because I felt like an outsider. I felt like I didn't belong. And this was just as a customer. I hadn't even thought about, that's actually what made me pursue art, starting to try to paint.
No,
Because
you
I was
painted.
like, well, I'll just make my own
That's
thing.
right. And that
Yeah.
was a good thing because now you're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I think that because of that, I have a softer spot for clientele or collectors. And I think no matter how big I get or how high I go, I always want to have a price point that is available for original art, not just prints, but like for people that are your average person that want to have joy and beauty in their home, to be able to be at a price point that they can still do that. There's tons of art out there that's available for the rich people that can spend 10,000. There's a lot of art out there that's super, super, super expensive. And so I don't know, I just have this feeling of like, it brings me joy to be able to give, um, a different set of people art that they can put on their walls, and how excited they are to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Well, and I do think you are on the right track, and I think that's the way I feel about it as well. I think, I'm playing the devil's advocate here and trying to give you the opposite, but I
You
think,
don't have to convince
yeah,
me. Tell me about how you want to do. I'm good where I am, so let's talk about how you feel about where your pricing is. And you don't have to be devil's advocate. Just tell how
yeah.
you're feeling.
Well, I know you have to pull that out of me, but I definitely have been painting smaller.
Yes.
So I think my price on your size, let's see, what was your average size that you've been selling that you said? What
I
was that?
honestly, I bounce all over the place because I sold a bunch of minis, but then I also have been selling 60 by 48, and I'd say probably 36 by, what is that? 36 by 48 is probably my average right
Okay,
now.
because
But
that's
it's big.
big. Like I want to paint that big. Like that's my goal next year is to start painting larger. But because of my space and my home space, I have to paint.
It's
I'm
hard.
painting smaller. Yeah. So like my biggest one is maybe like this one behind me is like 24 by 30, something like that. So also I'm going back to Jody King where she says you price when you're doing those comps and comparing, you base it on your average size that you like to paint. And then as you go smaller, the price per square inch goes up. And as you go larger, the price per square inch goes down. So I'm trying to use that guideline for mine. And so a lot of mine are 11 by 14, 8 by 10. So I'm in the smaller range of that. And then I'm also doing some small 4.5 by 5.5 little ones on watercolor paper. And I do think so to go back to your thought of having art available to everybody, I think having different price points, different sizes, offering prints is a great way to get original art that's not sold in a store, that's not like massively produced. If you buy
Right.
prints from artists, and right now, like there's some really great, like the vendor I found to do high quality art prints is amazing.
Amazing.
They,
Absolutely.
they
Share who
look,
they are because someone's going to
yeah,
ask.
it's Finer Works in Texas. They're in Texas, Finer Works, but they do amazing prints on canvas, on paper, all kinds of paper, and all kinds of things that they do. But I found them from another artist who did a YouTube thing, and she compared a couple different print on demand printers, and the quality of the color and how the color matched her original art was huge. And so that's how I found out about them. So I have to give it to that other artist that did the YouTube thing. But anyways, I found them. So I do think having prints is a great way to have a price point that's anybody can afford, and the quality is so good. If you buy it from an artist, I think the quality out there is amazing. I think, you know, then you have your option where you could buy the massively produced art that you can get at like Home Goods and stuff. So I think for me, I am trying to have a variety. So you asked emotionally how you feel
Yeah,
about all this.
yeah, tell us. I know you don't want to share it. I'm going to make you share, dang it. Stop trying to put it on me.
No, it's because that's my family. We've been kind of taught not to show emotion. So
I know.
yeah.
And I can't help but it. I mean, I literally, like, it's just crazy. Anyway, okay,
Yeah.
so one of the
So
things that you and I talk, we have talked about you when we have our personal conversations, and you recently raised your prices. And so how are you feeling about, so you did a class that you were doing, and I feel like I'm interviewing you now.
yeah.
You did your class, and you built your confidence, and then you said, okay, I'm going to raise my prices. And then how did you feel about that? What gave you the courage to be able to be like, okay, now's the time that I'm going to raise them and have confidence in that?
Okay. Didn't have confidence, didn't have courage, but I
Okay.
was following another artist who's been out there for a long time. Her name is Marisa Cummings, and she's really good about, she's wanting artists to price their work so they're not undervaluing original art. Have the prints, have the smaller stuff, but don't undervalue your original because it's one of a kind. So I again did some comparison, and so I went from, I think I had my smaller works I was selling for $50, and I just raised them up to 75 based on what I saw other people doing. But at the same time that I did that, I started to offer prints. So basically my lowest price thing is a fine art print for 35. So I feel good about that I had a variety of prices. I still, you know, it still wasn't easy to raise them because, you know, I do want to make a living from this. I do want to make it my career, my full-time career. So I don't have a ton of sales, to be honest. I have some, but I don't have a ton. So it's not something I could live off of yet.
Right.
But so I'm kind of in between that stage of pricing it to sell and pricing it to where I want to be, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
and finding the customers.
Yes, you're in that space where, because you want to leave your other job and do art full time, you are in kind of a pickle because you do want to sell for all the reasons that I said, we all do, but you also have to price it at a price where you would be able to make a living wage or more, you know, to be able to let your other work go and just be able to do art. So it will probably, I would assume it would probably take a couple of, you know, a couple of times of kind of playing around with pricing it, seeing where you can get it at that it's selling, but you also feel good about what you're selling it at, right?
Exactly.
And that's ultimately where we're all trying to get is, I think if you're selling it and you feel bad about the fact that it's leaving because you knew when it's leaving and you know that you are like, God, I should have sold that for more,
Right.
you know, it's worth more, then that's a really crappy feeling. And then selling your art doesn't feel good. But if you're pricing it at a place where that's not a concern when it leaves, you just feel happy about it going and you like the money that's coming in, then you're in that sweet spot.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of there right now because I feel like I'm at a good value. Like, for example, there's an artist that I follow that she does a lot of prints. So she has a higher price on her originals because she mostly sells her prints, but for a 4x5 or 4x6 original is like $300 and something, and mine's 75.
Right.
So I feel like, you know, obviously she's been doing it a heck of a lot longer, and values that art. So I feel like in that respect, I'm still pretty low as an emerging artist and beginning artist. So I think I just kind of looked around at what was out there, and I do feel good because of offering the lower price for a really high quality print. So by having that in there, I feel like where I priced it, the smaller pieces at 75, I think is a good place to be.
And you feel confident in that.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. That's
but I don't
absolutely,
have,
that's
like,
where you want to be.
Like I said, things aren't flying off the shelves, and I think that I will not probably raise my prices again until things start flying off the shelves, and I can't keep things in stock because there's only one of me. Then I will raise. Then I will raise. But I'll always have the print, so anybody could always have access to this great art as a print for a lower price.
I have two threads off of that. One is I keep hearing us say, I said it and then you just said it. And when you said it, I heard it differently. We keep saying that they've been doing it longer, so their art is worth more. And I think that we have to be careful of saying that, because I think we're pigeonholing ourselves subconsciously, mentally, that we can't raise our art until we've been doing it for a long time, right? And I
don't think about that, but I do think that as you get more and more established and you build your clientele, you're going to be able to sell that art for more because you have more customers. Does that make sense?
Yes. So what you're saying is that they've been doing it longer, not necessarily that they've been creating art longer, but they've built a bigger, so I guess maybe the different phrasing is they have a bigger following.
Yeah, and
they have a bigger customer base.
Yeah, so their art is flying off the shelves, so they had to raise it because they couldn't keep up with the demand. And that's why I say by them painting longer, they have that demand, and that's what, and they've allowed to raise prices where we don't have that demand yet, so we haven't got, so that's where I say, but quality wise, a beginner artist, yes, can have just as good a quality as somebody that's been doing it a while.
And that's what when I was saying that they've been doing it a while, that's what I was meaning, was that they're better than me because they've been doing it for a while. But I have to stop letting that seep into my brain, because honestly, that, first of all, it's not a comparison. It's hard not to compare, because we're told to compare so that we can see where our art falls, so that we can price it, and then we get into this comparison game, and so it's like a whole catch-22 in that as well. But then I'm the one that is saying subconsciously to myself, like, you can't price your art at these prices because you haven't been doing it as long and your art isn't as good, right?
Yeah,
but
no, and I'm sure
that's not true.
Yeah, that's not what we're saying, and I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people probably are thinking that now that we said that, but yeah. So no, it's not based on that. More so, it's based on that they have the following and the customers because they've established themselves, and so they've had to get to that point where they've had to raise their prices because they can't keep it in stock.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Hi,
go ahead.
Couple more. Surf Skimmick joined, Rush joined, Barry joined. Thanks, you guys, for coming on. We're talking about pricing our art. So, okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're okay. The second thing that I was going to say, and you've said this a couple times, and I don't want to forget because it's so important, is that you, in these conversations that you and I always have about it, you broadened my thinking about the prints, because one, I just never thought about prints because I didn't have the ability to take very good pictures of my art, and so they just wouldn't turn out into be a good print, and so I never really let myself go there. But I did invest in a better camera, and then you were going down your journey of prints for your crows that you did recently, that you had for the October time frame, and they turned out so amazing. So we had that whole conversation about mentally thinking, okay, so your original art, you sell for more, so you can raise those prices, and then the lower price point is that people can buy prints of them. And I have been thinking about that a lot. I mean, it's still mulling in the back of my head, so much so that I actually talked to Tony the other day and said, I think if I want to move into doing excuse me, if I want to move into doing prints, then I might have to lay off of, which this sounds silly, but I might change my style a little bit to where I'm not doing so much of my gold outlining, because it's so hard to get a good picture without a glare of a metallic in your painting. And to be able to do prints, like, how do I do that?
So you can do limited edition prints where instead of them shipping directly from the printer, you have them shipped to you, and then you add the gold on top. So those
So
are
the original wouldn't have gold until I sell it, if they wanted that. But
no, you could, well, what you could do with your original is paint your base layers, take photograph of that, send that out to get prints made.
right.
Then you finish your original with your gold, and then each print is going to be almost like another original piece, because
It really is.
you
Yeah.
will add,
It'll be different.
yes,
Because
yes,
there's
and then you can
no
sign
way to
those.
do that line work exactly the same every
Correct.
single time,
Well,
right?
just
So then they
because,
would be getting
yeah,
a limited edition. Yeah, okay, I got that. I see what
yeah,
you're saying. Yeah, that's
yeah.
actually kind of exciting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And then you could do that. And that will be, again, another way you could offer a lower price pointed item if you have a bigger, especially because you're painting larger. So, you know,
hmm
even with your 700 or 900, whatever, I don't know exactly what those are priced at, but at that price point, you can offer that larger size for maybe $80 or $75 or whatever that is. And it's custom because you add the gold metallic, and you can sign them then and then ship them out that way.
yeah.
So that actually is exciting with your art, especially because I love your flowers.
Thank
And
you.
to have that be an individual, and especially, okay, so the other part of that is we say prints like they're supposed to be lower end, but I'm telling you, these new prints that I'm getting are so amazing. Like,
Yes,
they look so good. And
yes.
then if you customize it, I mean, I think that's a really cool option.
I actually do too. I don't know why I never really put that together, but this is why I love when we talk, because it's like you need somebody else to pull you out of your, like, yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know,
I
and
make you talk, and
yeah,
you
and
make me think.
you had said something in one of our discussions too that I loved, that you said you want to have art priced so that it's available to everybody.
Yes.
And I think the difference between buying a print at a box store or a retail store and buying it from an artist, I think there's a huge difference, especially if that artist is very conscious of how those prints turn out.
Yes.
I think, you know, it's a better value still. And if you buy from the artist, I think you get a better chance of having a higher quality print.
Well, and I think that my mind totally changed when I saw your prints of the crows that you had done. And up until that point, the prints that I had seen were of my art that weren't great photos, and they just didn't turn out very good. And so that's all I have to go on, right? But when I saw your crows, I was like, they actually look like an original painting. So if I could get to that where I could get the photos and be able to have those and then do the embellishment on them, like you said, that makes me feel a whole lot better, because it still has that personal connection for them to the artist, and then you still as the artist have that personal connection to give them something that they're going to be super excited about. It's not just that home goods art, which there's nothing wrong with that. No. I have home good art in my house right now. You know what I mean?
I do too.
Yeah,
I do
yeah. So, but it's not an original. It's not something that you can say, I have an original piece of art. There's something about that.
Yeah, that not everybody's going to be able to have access to or be able to get. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to wait out. Say hi to Jody. Jody just joined us. Thanks, guys.
Morning.
Yeah, so I think basically this subject is super tough, and I think every individual artist or photographer has to struggle and wrestle with this. And I think what you said before is that you have to feel good about that decision, that you're not letting something go like, oh God, why did I sell that for so cheap? And then you're not putting something out there that's just like got an amazing amount of money that, you know, no one's gonna ever be able to do,
Right.
or, you know, I don't think that's necessarily the right thing either. And I think having the range of prices, having the range of sizes, so that it is available to more people. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a really a tough one. And I don't have a good answer for it.
Yeah, because there just isn't a cookie cutter answer for it, which is why I think that it's such a topic all the time in all the threads that we see. Everyone's always asking about it and struggling with it and trying to figure it out. And it is honestly, there's like, okay, so Jody gave us that kind of, template, but it's very loose because there's so many facets that have to sit well with the individual artist when they make the decision. That's why earlier I was saying you don't even have to do devil's advocate to me, because right now where I sit, I feel really comfortable with it. Like, I'm okay with where I am right now. My very first painting haunts me to this day because I sold it for so inexpensive. It was my first painting that I sold. I'm glad that she has it. I love that she has it. She was so excited about it. I was so excited to sell it. It was my first. But we talk about this all the time too, is that I don't want to have that feeling again of that regret of, dang, I should never have sold that for the price that I sold it, because it is so much. However, Tony and I talk about this, is that would it actually have as much value to me even if I would have priced it higher and then I didn't sell it? It wouldn't have the value to me that it has now because I sold it. It has so much value to me right now because it's the first one that I sold. So there's still that catch-22 of, yes, I could have priced it for 4 or 5 times what I priced it, but it might not have sold, and then I might not have continued on my journey because I would have thought that I sucked because my art wasn't selling. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I totally get that. It's like a big circle chain of going around. I know.
Yes, and I can't wait to be at the place that Jody is at, where we just go, this is how much my art is.
Yeah.
I'm selling so much of it at this price that, I don't have all these mixed emotions with it. It's just, it is what it is, and I'm going to go make more art. I mean, we'll get there.
Yeah, I know. It's just a matter of how long it takes.
And I don't know about you, but I'm super impatient, so I want it now.
Yeah. Okay. And then Susan just joined us. Sorry, Susan. I think we're getting close to wrapping up. But the other thing I wanted to say is then the other part, which we haven't even touched on, but if you go down the gallery route, then the gallery takes 50% or 40%. So, but whatever you sell your art at to the gallery, you sell your art out at that same price yourself. So if it sells through the gallery, you get half. If it sells through you, you get the same amount. So that's a whole nother ball of wax. But depending on which way you go.
Can we open it up just a tiny little bit? Like, we can go over today do you have to go? Yeah, no, I'm okay to continue talking, but I'm okay. That's another whole thing, Jeanette, that is we're in the most exciting time because we don't necessarily need galleries to make us anymore, because we can sell and be successful promoting ourselves. But it is a lot of work to promote yourself, and it takes a lot of courage, and it takes just so much out of you that then you have very little left to create, right? So it depends on the day that you ask me about feeling like, do I still want to have the goal of being in a gallery or not? When I have to ship a painting, every time I have to pack it to ship it because it's so stressful of like, is it going to make it in one piece? I think I want to be in a gallery, let them handle it. I don't want to deal with this. I'll pay them 50% so I don't have to deal with shipping. But but 50% is a lot that they take. But they do a lot for the artists behind the scenes that, we don't have to take on the stress of doing. How do you feel about getting in one or them taking that money from you?
I feel like it's not something I want to do right away, but it's something that could happen later on down the road. The one thing about galleries is, yes, they have somebody on the floor selling the art, but you still have to do your own promoting. It's not going to be the be all end all.
Oh,
So
really?
I think, yeah, yeah, they still want you promoting your art. They'll do like gallery openings, and they'll do other things to help promote. And then they have somebody on the floor, like constantly, if someone comes in and they're selling your art. I don't know a ton about it because I've never been in a gallery, but that's what I've heard. And and we're going to have a artist on that is in a co-op gallery that we can ask
Yes.
her some of those questions, because she'll be able to answer that better than me. But I do feel like you still have to do some of your own promotion, so the gallery isn't the be all end all. Again, I think it depends on I'm just so thankful we have social media, because if we didn't have social media, artists wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. So I think when I went to school and graduated from college, all the artists, that was your path. You would be a teacher, or you would go the fine art route and try to get in a gallery.
That's it?
That's pretty much, I mean, when I graduated, that's what I knew of. So that's why I didn't stay as an artist. I went in under a graphic design, because I knew I had that, again, the limiting belief. Now we can do prints, we can do licensing, you can do all the social media stuff. You can still get in a gallery. There's so many options for artists now than it used to be. So I'm really happy where we are. And that's the reason why I decided to start and really make this a go, was because of social, and that we had this option. Otherwise, I think I would have still been in the closet saying I want to be an artist, but
Yeah.
I'm not, wouldn't do it. So now I'm doing it. So I feel positive about that. I don't know if I answered your question.
You totally did. And I'm giggling at Guinness back there because he is happy today.
Oh, you hear him singing?
Yes. While you were talking, he was totally like singing with Mama. He was going to town. It was awesome. He's very happy. It must be sunny. Is it sunny there today?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So for those of you who hear a bird singing in the background, that's my canary. And his name is Guinness Stout, and I got him on St. Patty's Day.
He's so cute. I love him.
Yeah.
He's like him and Mally. They're our third and fourth guest on our show. Yeah. I locked the door so she couldn't come in and start coughing today.
Oh, good. I know I should shut my door, and then that would help.
No. The bird singing is a lot more exciting than my dog coughing, so come on. You totally answered about the gallery. I am beyond thrilled to have our guest come on and talk with us about her experience with being in a co-op gallery, because I have looked at those. That is a great way, I think, to kind of learn those ropes and get in and be able to show your art. But it does come at, a time expensive.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think I'd want to try that at some point, I think.
Me too.
Besides
Me too.
Figures. Yeah. So let's say, so do you feel good about where we are right now?
Yeah, totally. Do you? Yeah. I guess just ending it with, do you feel good right now where your art is priced, and when it leaves you feel good about what you're getting for it?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm pricing it too high, and I don't feel like I'm pricing it too low. I do feel good about where it is.
Good. So you're in a sweet spot right now. I feel the same way. I feel good too.
I mean, of course I want more sales, but I do feel positive about, like, I feel like the value of it is there, and I feel like people are getting a beautiful piece of original art, and it's not, I don't think I'm pricing very high.
No,
I think mine is like on the lower end of it.
Yes.
For what you get. So yes, it's not, I don't feel like if it walks out the door, it's like, why did I sell it for that cheap?
Good.
Like, I don't feel that.
Good.
But I also don't feel like I'm pricing it so high that no one's ever going to buy it. I feel like right now they're getting, what's the thing that sorry, I keep bringing up Jody King. She says,
we love her. So
which I love, where she says, my prices are only going one way, and that's up.
And that's true. It's so true. Yes. And sometimes I find myself going, I want to post and go, okay, you guys, like I'm feeling confident. I'm going to start raising my prices. So if you want something now, stop waiting because
Yeah.
we're going
So,
up.
yeah. So
And
I feel, I
I
feel
think
good.
that for your people that are collecting right now, that's a great thing as well, because one day they're getting in like at the ground floor pricing, right? And their art that they're purchasing right now is going to do nothing but gain value as we raise our prices up.
Right. Right. I think so. I mean, I think as long as we keep going, our art's going to change and it's going to develop, but it's still going to be like you love that first piece that you sold. Like you think about that first piece all the time. And I think that's amazing. And that's shows that you love what you're doing. And I feel like every piece that I sell also, I love it. And I'm so glad it goes and that it's in this another, I mean, sharing my art, that was a big leap when I first started too. Just
Yeah.
putting it out there is a big leap. So, and that's another conversation we could talk about.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So I wanted to say that we're going to have a couple guests on in January, and we're going to now, I want to wish everybody a happy holiday because we're going to be not doing another IG Live until January 14th.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the right date. I hope. I'm quoting.
Hold on, let me look while
Yeah.
while you're talking.
And then we'll have a couple guests on for those next two shows.
The 11th, actually. January, same, you were in the week, but it's January 11th and then the 25th. And we'll have guests on both of those. And then we also have a guest already booked for February, too.
Yay.
So it's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to have some fun and we're going to keep this going and keep having these conversations. And if anybody wants to reach out to us and say, hey, talk about this or talk about that, just message us and we'll add that to our conversation. And we're both emerging artists and we're just starting out, so we're hoping you guys can relate to these conversations.
100%. So I want to end by saying thank you for reaching out to me and being my art friend, but also my friend in art, and for being open to having these difficult conversations, because we don't always see eye to eye. That would be super boring, and I would never learn anything if we always agreed. You grow me in ways that sometimes I don't want to grow, but I do. But I don't know that I want to. I'm stubborn and I'm holding on to these beliefs. But you make me think, and you bring me out, and you give me confidence, and I'm going to start crying. But as we end the year, it's been so much fun doing this with you. Thank you for inviting me to do it and the conversations that we have. And I don't think that I would be as far as I am in my journey right now without all the conversations that we have. So thank you for that.
Well,
I appreciate
you.
you.
So sweet. And right back at you, because I feel the same way about you. Like we're just common and we have a lot of things in common and with our previous careers and everything. And so
So I know, where does all this emotion come from?
I don't know. You're so sweet. So thank you. I feel I'm right back at you the same thing. And thank you to all the artists out there that are doing these courses and classes, because that's how we met. So if we weren't in one of those classes, we would have never met. And you being open and open with your feelings, because that's how I was like, oh my God, she's saying exactly what I'm thinking. So I also appreciate you for being who you are, an amazing artist that you are. And we have so much good things coming up in the next year. I can't wait. I can't wait.
It's so exciting. At the end of next year, we need to come back and see where we're pricing our art then.
Okay, then maybe that's a good one to have at the end of the year.
Yeah, at the end of every year. Okay, well, how did we grow?
Yeah, see if we raised them or the same.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good thing to do. I love that. Okay, thank you, my friend. I love you to death. You're awesome.
Love you, love you, love you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah. Bye, and we'll see you next year on the 11th.
That's so weird. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, my friend.
Bye.